Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted and privileged to welcome a very, very accomplished professional from Mumbai, India, Dr. Neeta Mhatre Mishra. Neeta, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Dr. Mishra is the founder of ReachOut. She's also the co-founder of Bloom Certified Trainer. So, Neeta, before we speak about ReachOut, tell me a little bit about your own journey.
Wow. So, first of all, thank you for giving me this really a privileged and an esteemed platform. And bringing back to your question about my journey has been very instrumental. And at times, even I also understand that my journey has been very transformational, from being a medical doctor to coming and serving as psychotherapist, and then exclusively working with the inclusion and diversity. So it's really been very instrumental, transformational for my own self as well as for the people around with whom I have been working and with whom I'm been associated with. So I think there is a lot which has been into the plateau.
Wonderful. So let's now talk about ReachOut, which is a platform for the LGBTQ plus community. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing at ReachOut.
So ReachOut is basically my organization and completely a brainchild of me, where I made the word reach out because I could see the youngsters specifically where they were not able to express their own sexuality, getting confused between what is the gender and what is the sexuality part of them. Because as such, if a boy is being taught that this is a boy, but I don't feel like a boy, and so is for the girl, but my gender talks about me as my masculine and as my feminine. Here is where Reach Out played a very major role in creating that safe space in talking about what you feel, how you feel, and the best part is how to deal with it without getting into the nutshell of what people will talk about me. Or what will I do if nobody will accept me? Is there is only one way of committing a suicide, or is there a second way of going on to the rules?
Very interesting. Wow.
So this is where Reach Out has been there in this journey.
And when did you start ReachOut?
So officially Reach Out, if I see with everything as the documentation, which is important, is now 2 years of age.
Okay.
As such, non-officially launch of Reach Out was almost 5 years.
Wonderful. And as a medical doctor, what was your motivation to start ReachOut?
So as a medical doctor, so I'm an homeopath, and the best part was whenever I've been meeting people, I'm seeing that all the diseases, whether it is acidity, whether it is migraine, whether it is any kind of physical pain, is only and only coming through emotions. My child is not accepting me. My husband is mistreating me. My wife is not listening to me. So there were things which I could see that was coming out only and only from this journey. So that is where I thought that it is very good to touch the heart of the people, not the mind of the people.
How interesting. So over the years, how have you seen societal acceptance change
Towards
the LGBTQ community?
Okay, so initially people were really a big no, this is not going to happen, and this is not the right thing. This is something coming as a curse from the God. And eventually now I see that the parents have started very, very openly talking about it, accepting their children, and also changing their own language pattern to address their children. So I'm seeing a very warm and a beautiful welcome which is happening in the society of being aware of what is this LGBTQI community.
Very interesting. And do you see this happening only in the large urban cities, or do you see this happening in the smaller cities of our country as well?
So let me not be biased. It is definitely happening only in the urban parts. Rural is yet to come as a development, because in rural, people are not aware of all these things up to an level which has to be doing. And now slowly we are seeing that the people in the rural are becoming very less. They are all moving to the urban. The urban is moving again ahead, and this is how the change is just going on. So rural needs a lot of development. It
You know,
really
yeah, Neeta, you just mentioned that, there has been this old thinking that this is a curse from God and this, that. How, or what in your opinion should be done with students? I mean, at what stage should students be educated that this is an absolutely normal thing for human beings? You could be male, you could be female, or you could be other.
So here is a very important role of parents.
Okay.
Very important role of parents, that we are seeing that the puberty is hitting at the age of 9 now. Initially, it was hitting at the age of teens, where it was only from 13 to 15, or maybe 13 to 16, where we were seeing the puberty. Now, as we see that the whole scenario with the generation is changing, there is very much overload dose of information around. And with the puberty, it is very important that the parents start understanding and start treating them as individual, not as my munna, shonu, babu. No, treat them as individual, talk to them, make them understand what is all about a physical body, what is that about a biological body, and what is that about an emotional body. It is very important that at my parenting level, I should start it as early as possible, and bring in all these domains of talking very freely in the house. And it should not be a conversation ki acha papa ke samne you cannot talk, or mommy ke samne you cannot talk. It should be an open, diverse conversation which should happen in the family.
And based on your own experience and of through Reach Out, do you see this open conversation beginning to happen in parts of our country?
Oh yes.
Okay.
So this COVID has really been, of course, it was not a boon, but for me, I think it was really a boon, where I could reach out to 350 LGBTQI community from the various domains of across India. And when I was talking to them, I was in their houses. I was in their houses talking about their emotional health, talking about their mental health, and also when they start with their HRT, that is the hormone replacement therapy, there is a lot of ups and downs happening. And it is not necessary that all the endocrinologists, yeah, all the doctors are going to be available. So that it is a time when they require a big support, because the body is undergoing a lot of process. The mental status is undergoing a lot of process. And I think I have really been very, a divine gratitude from the universe that I could really reach out to so many people there.
Fantastic. I was speaking to another guest some time back, and this lady kept on telling me that her little son used to keep telling her that something happened when I was in your stomach. I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. And she says for almost 13, 14 years, she didn't accept it. And the child was very bad. And the day she accepted, she says she became the most incredible daughter that one could ever have hoped for,
Absolutely.
So do we have similar things happening in our country also?
Oh yes. And as I think you are in Gurgaon based, right? So I have couple of cases, and there are amazing, very high-end doctors, entrepreneurs who are facing this, but they have come to acceptance, not as a child, but as change makers. And they are coming and talking about it very openly, how they have changed to accept the situation, how they have changed the language with the community, where everything is very normal for them.
Amazing. My next question is that, I've seen this kind of discrimination even at the workplace. Colleagues don't accept their own colleagues who may be from the LGBTQI community. What can be done in the corporate world to improve acceptance, and where does accountability lie?
So I think this is a very, very good and a very profound question, because this is the space now where we have started initiating the work. So we have some tie-up. I have the tie-up with the TIS, and here is where we are working on corporate immersion of inclusion and diversity, where we are making them aware of how do you talk, what do you talk, and how do you address. The pronouns in LGBTQI is very specific, and they love to be addressed with their pronouns.
Correct.
And unless the pronouns are not addressed appropriately, this is where we start damaging the other person. So if you, Ashutosh, is important, for me, Neeta is important, for them, that him or her is also important. So I think here is where we need to first come up with empathy. Second is respect each other's personal space. The third is very important, is stop shaming anyone in the society.
Yeah.
It can be religion, it can be caste, it can be body, it can be gender, it can be anything. And fourth, and the very most important part, which I understand in the corporate, is treat everyone equally.
Very interesting.
It should not be that only the managers level are talking something, with this the back office talking something else. No, it is required right from your entrance till the exit. Everyone has to be educated about this inclusion and diversity.
And in large organizations, where, in your opinion, should accountability for inclusion lie?
I think when we go through the norms, the protocols, basically, the to-do list, I see a lot which lies with the HR. And that is the space where the HR has to take a big step. But also, I also feel that apart from the HR, every department should be given one accountable partner. At least one where they can come back and talk about, yes, this is happening in my space. And if we start having monthly circles, where everyone just comes and talks, it is not only with the LGBTQI, it could be with me, where I am not able to express anything at home. It could be with me, where I cannot express to my friends what I am feeling. Because there is a lot which I understand, it comes with my own self-respect, with my self-esteem, what people will think about me, because I'm at such a big post. So I think if we start creating the small circles, it will be of much help to people to talk and express about themselves openly.
Very interesting. My next question to you is that, is about the younger generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs, who are now coming into positions of leadership in the corporate sector. They have a very, very, different perspective of inclusion as compared to, say, people of my generation. And I'm part of the baby boomers generation. I'm 66 now. How are you sensing the differences between acceptability when it comes to someone who's a much older leader as compared to a younger leader?
So when it comes to a much older leader, they have a lot to do with pros and cons.
Right.
And they have always a revisit pattern of going to the past, picking up something which was wrong in the system, and then had got corrected.
Okay.
But when I deal with the millennials and Gen Z, they are they are very clear with what they want in their life. Whether the parents approve of it or they do not approve of it, but they are very clear that this is what I know, this is what I can do. So they are very, very much solution oriented.
Okay.
And they will not sit and think about it for a very longer time. They know either I have to decide it now or that it's not going to happen. So I'm not seeing a lot of procrastination is not happening in that space. And second thing, they are very easy to communicate, very easy to accept. Yes, this is it. So what?
Right.
And even in this COVID, the so-called people who were opposing the LGBTQI, they came out and they also have confessed, yes, I am a bisexual.
Wow. Very
I
interesting.
am finding it very difficult now to stay with my spouse, whether
Hmm.
it is a male or whether it is a female.
Hmm.
Because initially we were all working, we were all traveling, we were all out. So my 80% of my life was out, but COVID made me now be 100% in the house, which is very difficult to breathe.
Hmm.
And people
Amazing.
have come out talking about it openly.
Hmm. Fascinating. My next question to you, Neeta, is that what is the role society and the government, um, that what role do they need to play to be able to encourage inclusion?
So government is actually playing a very, very major role.
Hmm.
Only the thing is, there are not right people who are bringing it out in the public domain.
Okay.
Government is really doing very good work. Tata is doing brilliant work in inclusion and diversity.
Hmm.
TIS is doing brilliant work in inclusion and diversity. They
Hmm.
are really doing right from the base till the higher level.
Hmm.
And I think it is very important as citizens. We all must be educated about all the rights which is for us, which is for the LGBTQI, which is for the community.
Hmm.
And we have to be upgraded with our knowledge.
Hmm.
The problem is we are not getting upgraded with our knowledge, and we are only seeing the reels or the things which is so easily available, which is
Hmm.
not real at all.
Hmm.
And the real part of the world is not being touched.
Hmm.
And government definitely wants inclusion, because we are seeing that we will be seeing a major portion of LGBTQI in the near future.
Okay.
Yes.
And why do you say that? Why will be seeing a major? You saying more people
uh,
will come out?
yes. Why?
Okay.
Because now people have started talking about it openly.
Hmm.
So there is nothing where people are going to feel ashamed of themselves, or they might be feeling unwanted about themselves.
Hmm.
They might, okay, as a family member, if I'm not accepting my child, maybe they might move to the foster parents.
Hmm.
As we have some of the organizations who are playing as foster parents in the LGBTQI community.
Hmm.
So they might go and take help or shelter from them. So the best thing is, the best practice is always a good practice to start from my own house,
Hmm.
rather than allowing the foster parents to take the needful.
Wow.
So I think it is where we are seeing that this is going to be a change which will be in the society.
Very interesting. But the what you just mentioned about foster parents, is this something that will be enforced by government, or will it be enforced by society?
No, 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 no.
Hmm.
So they are the NGOs, they
Hmm.
are the organizations who
Hmm.
are working for giving them the emotional support.
I see.
Yes, and that entire emotional support is absolutely a non judgmental space,
Hmm.
absolutely a safe space,
Hmm.
absolutely a space of acceptance.
Hmm.
Acceptance in the way you are accepted.
Hmm.
We are not there to fix the puzzle anywhere.
Hmm.
We are just there to accept you the way you are.
Fascinating. So, Nita, I've got time for two more questions. My
Yes,
next
please.
question relates to culture. We are a very, very diverse country culturally. You've
Absolutely.
got uh, parts of India where there's a lot of bravado. There's parts of India where there is, uh, everything is much softer and, much more polite and so on and so forth. My question to you is, how does culture impact acceptability of different aspects of inclusion?
I think this is really very, very nice that our culture is made by us.
Hmm.
And now, if we see the culture, people are also playing with culture.
Hmm.
They are using the culture when and how they need.
Hmm.
In fact, our culture is the most beautiful space. And if you go to Khajuraho, if you go to Ajanta Alora,
Hmm.
and if you go to any of these places where they talk about humans, not about gender. It is all in one. Mahabharata also had LGBTQI. In case if I have to talk about today's, the topic, the tag. So I think our culture is very, very well diversified and it is ready to accept. Only the thing is we need to navigate it appropriately. So we as navigators have this entire responsibility of taking it in a smoother version. Not at a version which is very high, not at a version which is very loud. It can also be subtle. So today in our culture, we never had Halloween. And we are seeing that culturally everyone is celebrating Halloween.
Correct.
Right. So our culture is becoming modified. Our culture is welcoming the new era. So I think this is also going to be a very warm welcome from the cultural end also.
Wonderful. Wonderful. What a great response. Thank you. And my last question to you, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your amazing knowledge of handling inclusion of the LGBTQI community, what would you say are 3 lessons you would want our viewers and listeners to take away?
So my first takeaway when you talk about listening. So it is very important that please listen. Do not jump into any conclusions or do not jump into only giving answers. Listen very, very carefully. And it is not only listening the verbals. Please understand and listen to the non-verbals which is not expressed.
Right.
So the listening is very important.
Right.
Second is give them and give yourself time to understand and process what is happening with the other person.
Right.
So please take care of your own emotional areas as well as reciprocate with that respect to the other person's emotional needs.
Right.
Third and very important is please fall in love with yourself and then fall in love with others, because you cannot pour in from an empty cup. I am absolutely zero. I cannot add anything in front of others. But if I become myself infinite, I will be able to do the best. So be the best and do the best.
Amazing. And on that note, and your 3 incredible lessons, which is listen, do not jump to conclusions. And when you listen, look at the non-verbal communication as well. Your second one was give time to understand and appreciate what other people's wants are, what is happening in their world. And the third is, which is very important, fall in love with yourself and then with others, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Neeta, thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me about the great work you're doing at ReachOut with the LGBTQI community. Thank you for talking to me about inclusion and all the wonderful work that you're doing. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.